You? I don't know. You told me otherwise. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and attain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our heart with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor, and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. The fame is spread all over the three worlds. Take shelter of your lotus feet. Prabhupada ki jai. How far did you read?
What's up?
You were reading for the Lord Chaitanya in 5 pictures. How far did you read?
I guess we should take but maybe like 2 thirds down the first chapter. I don't remember. Yeah.
You don't remember those.
If you show me, I can tell you. It's like 60 or 70. It was pretty far down because I was just doing Leela. We did you were in there.
60 or 70.
Yeah. It was like 2 thirds down, maybe even more. So, I'm going to feel. More. I'll be pretty fast if you have notes. Stop at 16, okay. That sounds like a good start right there. That's a beautiful purpose.
Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Vallabha Girivaranari Gopi Chanda Vallabha Girivaranari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaranari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachami Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, since Chaitanya's appearance day is coming up very soon now, so we'll continue with the reading about Lord Chaitanya. This particular chapter of the Caitanya-caritamrita is Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. Srila Prabhupada would consider this chapter an exceptionally important chapter. So much so that he had one time there was a whole book. I mean, the whole chapter was a separate book, and it was distributed like that. Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, it's called. So this is it's important. So we read well into the chapter yesterday. I guess we should. This is actually Caitanya-caritamrita is written in Bengali, but a lot of times there are Sanskrit verses, like Srimad Bhagavatam verses, or some other verses that are included within the Caitanya-caritamrita. So, although the text is written like Bengali, but the verse is actually from a Sanskrit verse from, I think in this case it's from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam. So just chant the verse, and then we'll see how far we go. Oh, yeah. Satang prasangam mamavirya sangvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata Touch Joshanan Ash Bhavapavarga Vartmani Shradharatir Bhaktir Anupramishati Satang Prasangan Mamavirya Sangvito Bhavanti Vidkarna Rasayana Kata Tajjoshanan Ash Bhavavarga Vartmani Shraddha Bhartir Bhaktir Anukramishati Satang Prasangam Mamavirya Sangvido Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Kata Tajjoshanan Ash Bhavavarga Vartmani Shraddharatir Bhaktir Anukramishati Satang prasangam mamavirya sangvido. Bhakti Vitkarna Rasayana Kata. Joshanan Ashvavarga Vartmani. Vidharatir Bhaktir Anukamishati. Satang Prasangam Mamavirya Sangvito. Bhavanti Vitkarna Rasayana Kata. Joshanan Ashvavarga Vartmani. Prashadvatir Bhaktir Anukamishati. Okay, so word for word synonyms. Satam, of the devotees. Prasangat, by intimate association. Mama, of me. Virya Sangvidaha, talks full of spiritual potency. Bhavanti, appear, writ to the heart. Karna, and to the ears. Rasa ayanaha, a source of sweetness. Kataha, talks. Tat, of them. Joshanat, from proper cultivation. Ashu, quickly. Apavarga, of liberation. Vartmani, on the path. Shraddha, faith. Bhakti, attraction. Bhakti, love. Anukamishati, will follow one after another. Translation. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith, and in due course develops into attraction and devotion. Repeat after me. The spiritually powerful message of Godhead can be properly discussed only in a society of devotees, and it is greatly pleasing to hear in that association. If one hears from devotees, the way of transcendental experience quickly opens, and gradually one attains firm faith that in due course develops into attraction and devotion. Srila Prabhupada's purport. This verse appears in the Srimad where Kapila Dev replies to the question of his mother, Devahuti, about the process of devotional service. As one advances in devotional activities, the process becomes progressively clearer and more encouraging. Unless one gets this spiritual encouragement by following the instructions of the spiritual master, it is not possible to make advancement. Therefore, one's development of taste for executing these instructions is the test of one's devotional service. Therefore, one's development of a taste for executing these instructions is a test of one's devotional service. Initially, one must develop confidence by hearing science of devotion from a qualified spiritual master. Then, as he associates with devotees and tries to adopt the means instructed by the spiritual master in his own life, his misgivings and other obstacles are vanquished by his execution of devotional service. Strong attachment for the transcendental service of the Lord develops as he continues. He continues listening to the message of Godhead. And if he steadfastly proceeds in this way, he is certainly elevated to spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just speak something on this. Om Jnana-timirandasya Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, this verse that is quoted here in the Caitanya-caritamrita, it was spoken by Lord Kapila Dev. So Lord Kapila Dev, of course, is an incarnation of the Lord. He appeared in the family as Caitanya Muni and Devahuti. So the Caitanya Muni, for I don't know how many years, for a very long time after being married to Devahuti, provided with all forms of possible material enjoyment, gave her children, and one of those children was an incarnation of the Lord, Lord Kapila Dev. And Caitanya Muni, as the agreement was, at the time, after she had children, the children, there are 9 daughters and 1 son. That son was Kapila Dev. And the agreement was that, okay, I'm doing this for you now. I've given you all kind of material facility and enjoyment for so many years, but as soon as you have children, I'm leaving. I'm going back to my austerities in life. And so he did like that, so Devahuti is thinking, oh, now I've had so many years of material enjoyment, but who will give me transcendental knowledge? You've gone back and you've taken sannyas. Who will give me transcendental knowledge? But of course, they had one very special son, who was Lord Kapila Dev. So Devahuti accepted Lord Kapila Dev like her spiritual master, and she had many inquiries, and Lord Kapila Dev gave many instructions in terms of devotional service. So this is part of those instructions here. So there's one chapter, it's a especially nice chapter in that third canto, which is the glories of devotional service. Lord Kapila Deva is speaking. I'm not sure this is the chapter it's being quoted from. The glories of devotional service. But the process is here. And this is the same process. It was also given and emphasized by Lord Chaitanya. Of course, probably in the Satyuga or Treta, I'm not sure right off, when Lord Kapila Deva appeared. And of course, people were much more qualified then. But then Lord Krishna, he appears in this world in his original form once every day of Lord Brahma, which is 1,000 times the 4 ages. That means 1,000 times 4,320,000 years. Lord Krishna appears in the end of one Dwapara Yuga in that particular time. And immediately, universal time, immediately after Lord Krishna appeared and disappeared, then he appears again as Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was contemplating, before his appearance, he was contemplating how I previously appeared as Krishna. I told everyone to surrender unto me, give up everything, just to surrender to me and become my devotee and so on. But he said most people didn't get it. They didn't understand it. Many did, but many didn't. So Lord Chaitanya, he came. Well, there were two things. One thing was that they didn't get the relatively small number of people who actually really surrendered to the Lord and became pure devotees of the Lord. So he thought, okay, now let me come and appear as a devotee of the Lord, my own devotee, Lord Chaitanya is thinking, and show by personal example how to practice Krishna consciousness. And Lord Chaitanya also came, part of that same purpose of devotional service. He was also thinking, and this is also in the Caitanya-caritamrita. Lord Chaitanya was thinking previously as Krishna. Everyone was worshiping him in awe and reverence and so on, and just offering so many prayers and everything. But it's what Krishna says, and Lord Chaitanya is thinking, but I don't really like that. They do it because they're doing it because that's because to become purified we have to serve Krishna in that way. But Lord Chaitanya was thinking that no, I want to come this time and give some real mercy. I want to give the mercy that by which you can engage in devotional service, and you can within this lifetime, even if you take it seriously, you can go back home, back to Godhead, and serve Krishna, serve Him, but as Krishna, in a very intimate way in Goloka Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya actually encouraged that. So and then of course we were reading the other day about Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri appeared as the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri. Yes? And Ishwara Puri, of course, appeared as the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. Right? So Madhavendra Puri was the first of the acharyas in our line who actually very openly exhibited the mood of you know, conjugal love for Krishna. It was usually not, because in most of the time in other different lines, they were not worshiping Krishna in his original form. They were worshiping Lord Narayan. And Lord Narayan, there's no conjugal relationship with Lord Narayan, except with Lakshmi Narayan. But the people, the devotees in general, it was not possible. So Lord Chaitanya gave the process by which we can develop that kind of that mood. Not just conjugal. Conjugal is considered to be the highest. There's a neutral relationship, which is not particularly attractive. There's servitor relationship. There's friendly relationship. There's parental relationship, and there is conjugal relationship. And those 5 relationships, conjugal love is considered to be the highest, but it's not that if someone is a devotee of Krishna and they're not engaged in conjugal relationship, it's not that they are, because not that they're thinking, oh, I'm really missing out. Like Mother Yashoda, she's absorbed. She's Krishna's mother, and no one else is Krishna's mother. So it's just not that Mother Yashoda is thinking, well, okay, I got Krishna as my son, but really, I would really rather have a relationship with him as one of the young gopis who are having conjugal relationship. No, she doesn't think like this. Because whatever you're in the spiritual world, whatever particular rasa you have, you're completely satisfied with that rasa. You're completely satisfied. If you're a servant or you're a friend, so no one's thinking that, and Krishna has his boyfriends, his cowherd friends, and they have so much happiness with Krishna, and they're not thinking, oh, these gopis, they're in a higher position. I wish I could just forget about being Krishna's friend and change my body and become like a gopi. No, they're not. They're fully absorbed. The only reason that the conjugal love is considered to be highest of all, is because it includes all the rasa, which is plus more, that is in the lower relationships, so-called lower relationships. It's like you're a friend. It's like you may be a servant of Krishna, and then for someone may become have an intimate, friendly relationship, like the cowherd boys. But the cowherd boys, they're also servants of Krishna. Their mood is serving Krishna. They're friends, but their friends are always thinking, how can I serve Krishna? How can I please Krishna? How can I give pleasure to Krishna? I'm a cowherd boy, and Krishna is my friend, and how can I serve him in so many ways as a friend? So, and then of course, and even amongst Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends, there's different relationships. There are different relationships. There are, I don't remember the technical words right off. They're mentioned in Nectar Devotion later on. But he had his younger friends who were friends, but they also were more in the mood of serving Krishna, massaging his legs, or going and collecting some wildflowers around out in the field, or different things. But they have their mood of serving. And then there were the middle class of friends that were they're serving Krishna almost on like an equal level with Krishna. oh, I can defeat Krishna today. Mock fighting. Oh, I'm better than Krishna. But they're thinking like that. And then there were those. Then it has its friends who are um, who are who appear as older than Krishna. Of course, Krishna is the oldest of all, but they don't identify like that. There is friends who appear to be a little bit older than Krishna, and those friends, just like Balaram, he's a year older than Krishna. So the older friends, they're very happy with serving Krishna, but the older ones are thinking, how can I protect Krishna? If some demon comes up and starts to attack, they're thinking, we will protect Krishna. Of course, in the end, Krishna does everything himself, but they're thinking like that. So it's a relationship, and so you have the servitorship. You have you have a friendly relationship, which includes is also servant. Then higher level is a parental relationship. Parental relationship means you're externally you're Krishna's superior. Krishna, Shoulders say, Krishna, you should not be going out and stealing from our neighbors. You grow up to become a big thief. You'll be getting in a lot of trouble. She's trying. And Mother Yashoda has no clue that Krishna is actually God. So she's simply thinking how I can protect my little child, like that. But still a servant, a service rather. She has her. In fact, it's a very big service, because if anyone who has children in the material world, their young children, is constantly engagement trying to satisfy their needs, the service. So Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the others in parental relationship are always thinking how their service is how to protect Krishna, basically. And then, of course, and that also includes the lower relationships that are in friends and servants. And then, of course, conjugal relationship is even higher. Conjugal relationship is very special in that it's includes all the relationships of all the other rasas are included in the conjugal relationship. And the conjugal relationship is also the most difficult to understand. Although Lord Chaitanya very much encouraged it, but it's very difficult to understand, because if you just read the text of Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna's intimate relationships with the gopis, or other books written by the other acharyas, and reading about the Krishna's intimate relationships, conjugal relationships with the gopis, it would be very difficult to read that and not have your mind confused, because the externally it appears that those relationships are lusty relationships, which they're not. But it appears like that. So it's very difficult to understand that level of rasa. In any case, this in this particular verse, purport, we can see that by following the process of devotional service, then we naturally become Krishna conscious. We naturally become Krishna conscious. Some nice people, devotees, sometimes will say, "Oh, maybe Srila Prabhupada didn't give us." It's not really within his kind, outside. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada, someone might say that, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, he didn't give us the highest knowledge of rasas and everything." So many people may say like that, and therefore we were missing out. But what Srila Prabhupada gave us was the process by which we could become Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada knew, it's just Srila Prabhupada had given us and emphasized that we're supposed to act on a spontaneous level right, from the beginning, and there's not. No one can make any advancement. In fact, we become simply offensive. The Srila Prabhupada gave us a process by which we will gradually become Krishna conscious. And so just what we're reading here. There's some verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shinvata Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Chesta Hibadrani Vinirduti Saviksitam Nashtapreshta Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloki Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Get the next verse right off. But these verses describe how first by serving the devotees, then one develops a taste. So one starts to develop a taste for hearing and chanting by serving the devotees. And devotee means not just the topmost pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, but those who are serving the servants, those who are servants of such topmost devotees. The mood is to serve, and by that rendering of service, then what happens? We start to develop a taste for hearing about Krishna. We start to develop a taste for hearing, and as we progress, continue on the path as we're reading here, and hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord, then what happens? We start to develop more and more of a taste, and if we can get to the point that we develop a urge, we develop a strong urge, strong desire to hear about Krishna, then that's when we start making very quick spiritual advancement. We develop an urge to hear. If we're simply sitting down and sleeping through the class, then we're not very eager to hear this knowledge. But if we can hear it, and we can develop not just that. Oh, I have to do this. I have to listen to the class. Oh, another day. I have other things to do. If we're thinking like that, then it makes it hard to advance. But we can develop a strong urge to hear, to want to hear about Lord Krishna and about the philosophy, Krishna conscious philosophy, and so on. If we do that, then very quickly we start becoming free from the influence of the modes of material nature. And of course, Arjuna asked in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna described all these different modes of nature and all the things that happen to us because of being under the control of those material modes of nature. How do you become free from that? And what was his answer? Arjuna wanted to, or Krishna to ask, I was asking or Krishna, how do we become free from these modes, the influence of the modes of material nature? Because there's a whole chapter on, huh? Yes. Um, well, yes, which in the surrender unto Krishna means devotional service. So if we could become fully absorbed in that devotional service to the Lord, then we can then we can become very we can advance very quickly, and a very big factor in doing that is that eagerness to hear about Krishna. It's a very big factor. In fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Prabhupada tells how he Srila Prabhupada, had gone one of the few times that he got a chance to go and be with his spiritual master. Um, this is before his initiation, but he accepted him from that first moment, the first day. So that one of the first one of the times he went to hear him speak. Um, oh yes, Srila describes how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was giving lecture, and if someone came in and made an announcement, there's a parikram party going out, anyone who's interested, please come now. So most everyone left Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's lecture, but Srila Prabhupada was one, or maybe the only one, who stayed, and which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta made a note of that. He likes to hear, he said. So some years later, because I'm not sure how far this was after Srila Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, but Srila Prabhupada, from the time he first met him to the time he took his initiation, it was like 11 years, I believe. Many years had passed. But when Srila Prabhupada was brought before Srila Bhaktisiddhanta to be, they're recommending, by one of the devotees was recommending Srila Prabhupada for initiation. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, oh yes, I remember him. He likes to hear. He likes to hear. So it sounds like many of the devotees were not really interested in hearing about Krishna so much. But Srila Prabhupada made a point he really liked to hear. He really liked to hear a spiritual master speak like that. So in the same way, we are going on with our spiritual lives, and the urge, developing the urge to hear about Krishna, about Lord Caitanya, about the Lord's pastimes, it's a very, very big factor. It's like everyone knows I've been around here for many years, and sometimes engaged in deity service primarily. So, many times devotees have said, "Oh, you've been here so many years. How have you been able to stay steady like that?" And the answer is because I have a desire to hear about Krishna. Deity worship is nice, but if you're engaged in, if you don't, you say, okay, I'll do this, but I don't really care about hearing about Krishna. I don't really care about reading. I don't really care about talking, Krishna Katha. I simply want to, I'll just do the rituals, so to speak, the artics and repetitive things that we do to address the deities. I like doing those things, but I don't really like to hear about Krishna. They're not going to last. No one's going to last like that. But if you have developed a strong desire to hear the philosophy, and try to apply the philosophy, then we can become fixed in Krishna consciousness. That's the way we develop that urge, a real, a sincere desire. I want to hear about Krishna. I'm waiting till the next Srimad Bhagavatam class, or I'm waiting to my next opportunity to hear some lecture from some devotee, on YouTube or live. I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to learn. I like hearing anything about Krishna, anything positive about Krishna. Of course, everything's positive. It's a question of the presentation. So we think like that. If we develop that strong urge to hear, then we can become fixed, and more fixed on the path of spiritual life. If we don't have that strong urge, then the tendency will be to see everything is just ritualistic, and we forget why we're doing what we're doing. That's why we say, like we have. Srila Prabhupada says, quoting Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, says, philosophy without religion is what? Philosophy without religion, is mental speculation. And religion without philosophy is sentiment, and sometimes becomes fanaticism. So we have available to us, we definitely have the philosophy, and we definitely have the religion. Religion means, following the laws of God. But why do we follow the laws of God? What's the basis of that? The basis of that we have the philosophical basis why we do what we do. Whereas many times in other religious paths, everyone's told, okay, you have to follow the laws, follow the commandments, follow the Bible or the Quran or the Torah. You must do it because God said to. But there's no real philosophy explaining things. So we've been blessed with the ability and the opportunity to have the religion, which is to, how to develop love of God, and that we have the philosophy that explains in detail why we are doing what we are doing. So if there's ever any doubt, well, go back to the philosophy. Here's why we chant Hare Krishna. Here's why we follow the regular principles. There's not just rules. There's reasons for it. There's practical reasons why we follow the regular principles. Practical reasons for everything. And with that philosophy, understanding, having a philosophical basis for why we do what we do, many times things will come up in our lives that are challenges, but we can always go back to the principles by which we live, not just rules, not just regulations, but the principles that are the basis of those rules and regulations. Anyway, there's a couple of points here, and all this was given by Lord Caitanya. Lord Caitanya gave a lot of instructions. Only wrote eight instructions in terms of the Shikshashtaka, which actually is Shikshashtaka is actually the entire Krishna conscious philosophy is there in those 8 verses. And so Lord Chaitanya gave that, but he also gave many gave many instructions to different devotees. He spoke to Rupa Goswami, and asked him to expand on what knowledge he gave. He spoke to Sanatana Goswami and asked him to expand it. He gave certain instructions to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who expanded all things that Lord Chaitanya said, and so on. He spoke. I don't think he spoke directly, lecturing like that to Haridas Thakur, but he did inquire from Haridas Thakur and Haridas about basically the 10 offenses of chanting, basically. And Haridas Thakur made it clear, okay, I'm not qualified to do this, but you are whatever you, my Lord, whatever you make me speak, I will speak. So Lord Chaitanya didn't directly get a whole lot of instructions, but he inspired many of his disciples and devotees to, through them, he spoke many things like that. Haridas Thakur gave Haridas Thakur that book is the Harinam Chintamani. Very, very nice. We get into learn in detail what the 10 offenses are, like that. And of course, there are the other devotees. There's so much philosophy that Lord Chaitanya gave through them. Um, and so tomorrow we are celebrating Lord Chaitanya's appearance day. So it's a very, very special time. Like I said, Lord Chaitanya only appears in this world once every 4,320,000,000 years. And actually, it's more than that. That's the daytime, and then in the nighttime, there's the same number of hours. So it's actually 640 billion years. So that's how how rarely Lord Chaitanya appears in this world as Lord Chaitanya, and it's only 500 some years ago. So a very short time. We can go to see Lord Chaitanya's places of pilgrimage, where he performed his pastimes, and we can also go to see places that Lord Krishna appeared, because he also only appears that in a personal form at that many, after billions of years. So we are very, very fortunate in this lifetime to have that. We're very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada also was present. Some of us met Srila Prabhupada, but all of us have the access to Srila Prabhupada's books and letters and lectures and so many, so much knowledge and ISKCON, which is Srila Prabhupada created for the benefit of everyone. And of course, the books are not just available, like in the time of Lord Chaitanya. There's something, if you wanted a book, sacred books were kept in the temples. If you wanted your own copy, you had to sit there and write it out by hand. No printing presses. There were no printing presses then. You had to handwrite. It's like that. Anyway, these are, so we would just take advantage of our opportunity in this Krishna consciousness movement. Don't think I had a little prasadam for now, and I'll take a good birth in my next lifetime, and then I'll get serious. We don't know what will happen in our next lifetime. We could be born in a devotee family and begin the bad association outside and give up everything. Right now, where we have good consciousness and we know what we're doing and know what we should be doing, we should take it very seriously and become Krishna conscious and try to finish up and go back home back to Godhead in this lifetime. Okay. Any questions, comments? Yeah. Mm. Yes. Yeah, for preaching. Yeah, preaching is necessary. So some devotees are right out there on the front lines, as we say, the books, and there are others who are maybe assisting in different ways to keep temples going and keep the like that to encourage those who are going out. I know that was always my mood. I was never great at book distribution. I did a little bit one time in my life, but I was given the service of deity worship, so we were trying to take care of the deities nicely, so that those who are here become inspired and in that and speaking about Krishna, so that those who are going out directly and preaching will have more inspiration to go out there and do it. That's the idea. So if we may not be out there directly preaching with books in hand, but we are, but if we can just somehow or other, if we're not doing that, serve those who are doing that, or serve those who are serving those who are doing that, serve another servant. In that way, Srila Prabhupada said, your love for me will be tested after I leave by how well you cooperate with each other in carrying on this mission. So just by staying connected with this mission under Srila Prabhupada's guidance, then we all can make spiritual advancement. Okay, over time, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Say that.
Oh.